She deleted me from Instagram for the aesthetic, so I deleted her from my credit card. Her reaction was insane. Hi, I'm Mark, 30, and my girlfriend deleted me from her Instagram for the aesthetic. So I deleted her access to my credit card for the same reason, my financial aesthetic. She called me screaming from the mall when her card got declined. Said I was being dramatic. You want to talk dramatic? Let's talk about the last 72 hours of my life. We've been together 18 months. I'm a software developer. She's a content creator, which basically means she takes really nice pictures of lattes and stares at her engagement rate like it's a newborn baby. She makes about $800 a month, which is adorable. I make about $95,000. 6 months ago, she asked to be added to my credit card for shared expenses. Logical, right? I set a $3,000 limit. Small enough to manage, big enough to cover travel and joint stuff. Except, shared expenses slowly turned into her personal shopping spree. Target runs. Investment outfits. Hair appointments. A brunch with friends that somehow cost $180. I noticed. I let it go. I figured this is what supportive boyfriends do, subsidize the influencer dream. And then Thursday happened. I'm at lunch scrolling through Instagram, and her feed is looking extra curated. Beige tones. Oversized sweaters. Carefully cropped croissants. Honestly? Aesthetically it slapped. Then I noticed, something was missing. Me. Not one photo of us left. I scrolled all the way back. Our summer trip? Gone. Her birthday dinner I paid for and planned? Gone. Even the casual selfies I took where she looked amazing? Deleted. I texted her. Hey, noticed our photos are gone? Her reply. Oh yeah, I'm rebranding. Going for a more cohesive aesthetic. You understand, right? Not really. Apparently. Solo girl living her best life. Performs better than committed woman with a real boyfriend. She said. It's not that deep, babe. It's just Instagram. Cool. So I went home, logged into my credit card app, and removed her as an authorized user. Aesthetic, right? She found out when her card got declined mid-purchase at the mall. The voicemail she left me, you'd think I'd stolen her dog, not just removed her spending privileges. That was only the beginning. By the time I got off work, I had 83 unread text messages. 83. The first 20 were pure panic. Babe? My card's not working, what the hell? This is so embarrassing. I'm standing at the register. Why would you do this to me? Then came the righteous fury. This is financial abuse. You can't just cut me off like this. You're making me look broke in public. In Lululemon. Fix this now or I'm coming over. Oh, and my personal favorite. We need to talk like adults. This from the same adult who just deleted me from her digital existence for engagement reasons. I replied with 3 words. Don't come over. Then I blocked her. That should have been the end, right? Please. You don't financially bench a self-declared lifestyle brand without consequences. Saturday afternoon, doorbell rings. I check the cam. It's her. Full glam, mall bags in hand, ready to deliver a TED Talk through my peephole. She rings it 30 times. Yells my name like I'm a misbehaving dog. Bangs on the door and says we need to renegotiate terms. What terms? She deleted me like a bad hashtag. I returned the favor. Then came the cavalry. Her best friend texts me. You're ruining her chances at success. This is her dream. I replied. Then her dream needs its own credit line. Then came her mom. Yes. Her mother. Apparently I was the selfish one. Apparently this girl needed brunch for content, and how dare I expect her to self-fund her dreams. I said. She erased me from her public life. I just made it official. By Sunday, I was getting calls from people I hadn't even met. Cousins. Some guy named Trey. Her brother called and said I was being cold. I asked him what my birthday was. He didn't know either. 3 days later, I got an email from her. A list of expenses she expected me to Venmo her for. Ring light, $200. Photography, $400. Wardrobe refresh, $600. Website hosting, $180. Content emergencies, $300. Total, $1,680. The subject line? Let's be adults. I replied. No. No explanation. No apology. Just, no. Blocked the email too. Then I got called into my boss's office. Apparently, she tried to contact HR. So now she's trying to take it professional. I walk into work Monday morning and my boss, Dave, chill guy, wears sneakers with suits, calls me into his office with this look like. So, something weird happened. Got an email over the weekend, he says. Someone claiming to be your girlfriend. Said you're harassing her and she's worried about your mental state. I stared at him like he just told me the janitor hacked our firewall. She emailed you? Yeah. He nods. Said she was hoping HR could intervene. I almost laughed. I didn't. I just said, we broke up. I removed her from my credit card. That's the whole story. Dave looked relieved. That's what I figured. Seemed like drama. But just a heads up, she's escalating. I nodded, thanked him, and left. But I felt sick. She was trying to mess with my job now. That night, I got home to a cardboard box on my doorstep. No note. No return address. Inside? Everything I'd ever given her. The sweatshirt she used to steal off my bed. The necklace from her birthday. The dumb little Polaroid I kept in my wallet of us from that weekend trip in Asheville. Even the card I wrote her when she hit 100K on TikTok. All shoved in there like they'd been evicted. Okay, I thought. Closure. Then the next morning, another unknown number. I picked up like an idiot. Hey man. This is her brother. Of course it is. He starts with, look, I think you're being kind of a jerk. I say, cool opinion. Then he hits me with the guilt. You knew she was shopping, dude. You could have waited until after the mall. I replied. She knew she was deleting me. She could have waited until after I paid for her life. He didn't like that. Said the family was taking up a collection to help her through this rough patch. I asked, you want me to contribute? He said, it's the right thing to do. I said, I already did. For 6 months. Click. 5 minutes later, a Venmo request. From her. For $3,000. The note said, pain and suffering. I declined. Then another. To make things right. Declined. Then $2,000. I'm begging you. Declined. She kept going, amount shrinking like a clearance rack. $1,000. $500. $200. Then $50. I just need groceries. I almost felt bad. Almost. Then I remembered her $90 Sephora spree 3 weeks ago. Declined. And then, she deleted the 3 photos she'd put back up of us. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just about money. It was about control. She had erased me, then begged, then threatened, then tried to nuke my job, and when none of that worked, she tried to flip the narrative. She posted an Instagram story. White background. Black text. Financial abuse is real. Be careful who you trust. I felt my jaw click. The girl who had used my credit card for 6 months to fund her dream was now implying I had abused her, because I shut the card off. And the comments? Oh, they were chef's kiss. You deserve better. Men will gaslight you and then act like you owe them. So brave of you to share this. The only brave thing she'd ever done was try to make a business out of oat milk lattes. I showed the story to my buddy Liam at work. He whistled. She really playing the victim card, huh? Oh, but she wasn't done yet. 3 days later, I got a letter in the mail. Like actual physical snail mail from a law office. It was a demand for payment. Her new angle was that I had established a pattern of financial support, and that by revoking it I had inflicted hardship. She wanted $4,200 for damages. I called the law office directly. Asked what kind of case they thought they had. The poor assistant on the phone said, Sir, we have messages where you promised to support her goals. I laughed. You mean when I said, sure babe, I believe in you while she filmed the makeup haul in my bathroom? That's not a contract. I hung up and immediately called my friend Paul, who's an attorney. Explained the situation. He paused, then went, That's not just weak. That's hilarious. Then he said he'd draft a formal response, basically illegal, LOL no, and send it off for free. 3 days later, she got served with the letter. And the post stopped. For a minute. Until I got tagged in a TikTok. She didn't name me, but the story was clear. When your ex pretends he supported you, but really just wanted control. Ladies, watch the signs. In the background? A sad remix of Thank You Next. I watched the video twice. Then I deactivated my TikTok account. Then I closed the credit card entirely and opened a new one, fresh number, clean slate. Then I sat on my couch, poured a whiskey, and exhaled for the first time in weeks. I thought that was the end. It wasn't. The next wave wasn't digital. It was personal. Saturday morning, doorbell rings. I check the cam. It's her mom, and the best friend, aka the terrible trio, standing on my porch like they're staging an intervention. She's crying. The mom's angry. The friend's already filming something on her phone. I open the door just enough to speak through the chain. What do you want? Her mom jumps in before she can even speak. This is unacceptable, Mark. What you're doing to her. I'm not doing anything. I say. I stopped doing things. Big difference. Best friend pipes up. You cut her off. In the middle of building her brand. She deleted me from her life. I just followed her lead. Then my ex finally speaks. I said I was sorry, okay? You said sorry after you tried ruining my reputation, posting about financial abuse, and threatening me with a fake lawyer. It wasn't fake, she says quickly. I raise an eyebrow. Oh yeah? What's his name? She blinks. Nothing. Thought so. Her mom tries again. You're punishing her for being ambitious. Do you know how hard it is for women in this space? Yep. And you know what makes it harder? Burning bridges with the only person who ever paid the bills. Then came the piece de resistance. The friend snarled. You're ruining her engagement rates. She lost 2,000 followers last week. I had to literally bite the inside of my cheek to keep from laughing. I'll be sure to alert the authorities. I said. You don't have to be mean. My ex whimpers. No, I don't. But I am allowed to protect myself. Then I looked her right in the eye. When's my birthday? Dead silence. Her mom looked at her. Best friend raised her phone a little higher. Go ahead, I said. Just say it. She swallowed. That's not fair. It's not a trick question. She stared at the porch tiles. Couldn't say it. Not even the month. I shut the door. Deadbolt. Chain. Silence. 10 minutes later, Venmo ping. $3,000 request. Note. Pain and suffering, again. Declined. Then $2,500. Let's make this right. Declined. Then $1,000. Please. Just groceries. Declined. I changed my username and deleted the app. Then I changed my locks. Because something told me. She wasn't done yet. She wasn't done. Not even close. Wednesday morning, my buddy texts me. Yo, your ex is back on her story. She's doubling down. I click the link. There she is, crying into the camera, claiming she's been financially abandoned by someone she once trusted. Said she's heartbroken and houseless. Which is wild, considering she lives in a luxury high-rise paid for by her parents, but sure. Suffer queen. But the best part. She posted a screenshot of a GoFundMe. The title? Help me rebuild after financial abuse. The goal? $10,000. The description? A masterclass in revisionist history. I supported my boyfriend while he chased his dreams, and when I asked for help building mine, he cut me off. I never asked for much, just support, trust, and respect. Now I'm left with nothing. I just need help getting back on my feet. Left with nothing? Girl, you were left with your own money. That's what you were left with. And supported my boyfriend. You mean the guy who paid for your brunches, your lashes, and your $400 ring light? I almost commented. Almost. Instead, I screenshotted everything and emailed it to Paul, my lawyer friend. Subject line. Just in case. Then I blocked her on every remaining platform. TikTok. Instagram. Threads. Whatever new app she'd downloaded to cry on. A few days passed. Things got quieter. Until Sunday night. Doorbell rings again. This time I don't even bother with the camera. I open it. Standing there? Her cousin. Never met the guy. He clears his throat and says, Hey, I'm here on behalf of the family. I say, What is this, the Godfather? He doesn't laugh. She's struggling, man. She's hurting. The GoFundMe isn't doing well. People are talking. We just want this to be over. She wants money. That's what she wants. He nods. Doesn't deny it. She made a mistake, he says. Deleting you? The stories. The lawyer. All of it. But she's under pressure. She didn't mean to hurt you. She meant to get away with it. That's the difference. He shifts awkwardly. Is there anything you'd be willing to do? I think about that. Yeah. I say. I'd be willing to forgive her. Not fund her. He sighs. Starts to leave. Then turns. You know, she's still in love with you. I smile. No. She's in love with what I gave her. He doesn't argue. Just walks away. And for the first time in this entire mess, I feel nothing. Not anger. Not bitterness. Just peace. And maybe the tiniest bit of pride. Because I finally understood. Love without boundaries is just debt in disguise. But like I said, peace didn't last long. Tuesday morning, I check my work email and find something new. Subject line. Press inquiry regarding allegations. Allegations? I open it. Some wannabe journalist from a lifestyle blog asking for comment on an anonymous tip they received, about me. Apparently, someone submitted a story about a tech bro who funded a relationship and then ghosted a young female entrepreneur, leaving her in financial and emotional ruin. Sound familiar? Attached was a screenshot of her original GoFundMe post, plus a blurry paparazzi-style photo of me walking into work. I stared at it for a full minute. She'd actually leaked our story. Not to a court. Not to friends. To the internet. I called Paul immediately. What's the play here? Honestly? He said. She's grasping. She's trying to make you the villain in a narrative where she's the scrappy underdog. Just don't respond. And for the love of God, do not sue her. It's what she wants. What? She wants to be David. Don't hand her a Goliath. So I didn't respond. I didn't comment. I didn't share receipts. Instead, I forwarded the email to HR, just to cover my bases. Then I took a walk. 10 minutes, no phone. When I came back, another email. From her. Subject. Let's end this. It read. You won. Congratulations. I just wanted a chance. You took that from me. I hope you're happy. Then a paragraph about how she hoped I never experienced the isolation and pain she's felt lately. Then another paragraph about how she forgives me, and how this whole experience has taught her resilience. And finally, I hope someday you'll look back and realize how much you meant to me. But until then, I'm moving on. Kindly consider contributing to the GoFundMe one last time. For closure. Closure. I stared at those words so hard I could have set the screen on fire. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Instead, I clicked the GoFundMe link. The donation total? $47.36. 4 donations. 3 anonymous. 1 from someone named, not Mark. Message. Get a job. I laughed so hard I cried. Then I closed the tab and ordered Chinese food. Extra dumplings. For celebration. Because for the first time since all of this started, I knew it was finally collapsing for her. And none of it, was my problem anymore. You'd think that'd be the end, right? That after the fake lawyer, the GoFundMe flop, the cousin visit, the blog hit piece, and her final dramatic email, she'd finally run out of steam. Nope. Because 3 days later, I got served. Like legally. A knock on my apartment door, guy in a windbreaker holding a manila envelope like it was a wedding invite. I signed. He walked away. I opened it. Small claims court filing. She was actually suing me. On paper. In real life. $4,800 in emotional damages and breach of informal financial agreement. Her handwritten statement was tucked inside. I read it twice. Then a third time. It said, and I quote, "He promised to support me while I grew my brand. He told me, I believe in you, and added me to his credit card. I relied on his financial commitment, and he abandoned me with no warning." There was even a printout of an old text I sent where I said, "Go chase your dream, I've got your back." Apparently, that now meant lifetime alimony. I called Paul again. Put him on speaker and read the claim out loud. He wheezed. "Okay. I take it back. This is officially the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But Is there any risk? I asked. Only to your sanity, he said. You're fine. She has no contract. No written agreement. And good luck proving emotional damages when she's been monetizing the breakup on social media. He filed a formal response on my behalf. Requested a dismissal. Attached screenshots, Venmo logs, the Instagram posts, even the GoFundMe. It was a bulletproof defense. But the thing that really sealed it? An affidavit from her former roommate. Yep. The roommate reached out to me. Said she'd moved out because my ex was toxic and exhausting. And offered a written statement that included. She talked about the credit card like it was her salary. Called it her boyfriend's stipend. She even mentioned how my ex had planned to delete me from her feed weeks in advance, said it was part of her Solo Girl fall launch. I almost sent the affidavit to BuzzFeed. Instead, I added it to the court packet. The case was dismissed before it even hit a courtroom. And for a full 7 days after that? Silence. No texts. No calls. No surprise visits. No cousin fundraisers. No Venmo requests. Just actual, glorious, blessed quiet. That Friday night, I sat on my balcony, whiskey in hand, watching the city light up. And I realized something. I hadn't felt this calm in a year and a half. Because for the first time since we started dating, there was no part of her left in my life I hadn't reclaimed. And that felt like real closure. Closure, though? It's funny how fast peace can crack. Because a week after the lawsuit was dismissed, I get tagged in something on a private gossip forum. A friend sent it with the caption, "Dude, check this out. She's telling the story again. New username. New handle. Same girl. Same narrative. Only this time, she'd evolved. Now I was an emotionally manipulative ex who leveraged his financial power to control and punish. Apparently, I lured her in with promises of support, and then abandoned her when she started to shine. There were photos, old ones of us from happier days, posted without my face visible. Blurred out, filtered caption things like, 'This is the moment I knew he wanted to dim my light.' The comments? All fire emojis and virtual hugs. 'You're so brave. Men are so threatened by powerful women. Glad you got away, sis.' I almost replied. But I didn't. Because I saw something better. Buried halfway down the comment thread? A reply from her former roommate, the same one who gave me the affidavit. 'Girl. You told everyone he was your investor. You maxed his card on brunch and skincare. Don't play the victim now.' The thread exploded. One person asked if she had proof. She posted a screenshot of the group chat. Her, my ex. He won't say no if I smile. I'll just tell him it's a write-off. Another user chimed in. Wait, is this the same girl with the GoFundMe? Yes. Yes, it was. By the next morning, the thread had been locked. Her new account? Deleted. And just like that, the attempt to rewrite the ending collapsed under the weight of receipts. Later that day, I got a text. New number. But I knew the tone. Congrats. You won. I stared at it for a while. Then replied. It wasn't a contest. It was my life. She didn't text back. And maybe, finally, that was it. Because a month passed. No drama. No pop-up stories. No fake legal letters or cousin collectors. Just silence. Until I ran into her. Of course I did. It was a Saturday. I was grabbing coffee at a place near my new apartment. Clean, minimal, small business vibes. She walked in wearing oversized sunglasses, holding her phone like it was glued to her palm. We locked eyes. She froze. I nodded once, polite. Neutral. She didn't say a word. Just turned, whispered something to her friend, and left. And I stood there with my Americano thinking. She wasn't just embarrassed. She was irrelevant. To me. To my life. To my story. And she knew it. Now I'm seeing someone new. She's not an influencer. She's an ER nurse. Works nights. Drinks her coffee black. Thinks Instagram is where serotonin goes to die. First time she came over, she looked around my place and said, Wow, you actually live like a person. Then she took off her shoes, plopped on my couch, and put on a documentary about whales. No soft launches. No aesthetic grids. No passive-aggressive captions about being unapologetically evolving. Just real. I told her the whole story one night. All of it. The deleted photos. The credit card. The GoFundMe. The attempted lawsuit. She listened. Didn't interrupt once. Just raised her eyebrows a few times and said, "Damn. You dated a walking LLC." Later, as we were washing dishes, she said, "You know that wasn't love, right? That was payroll." I laughed. A little too hard. But she was right. Because that's the thing. When someone treats your affection like an investment, and your boundaries like budget cuts, they're not a partner. They're a client. And I've retired from emotional freelancing. Funny part? Ever since I shut the door on that chapter, everything's gotten easier. No more random Venmo requests. No guilt-fueled phone calls. No family members sliding into my DMs to mediate. I'm sleeping better. Spending less. Laughing more. Last week, I found a folder in my inbox labeled Brand Collab Receipts. Thousands of dollars she'd spent under the guise of content strategy. I deleted it without even opening the attachments. Felt like deleting malware. Now my finances are mine. My time is mine. My damn Instagram feed is mine, not that I post anymore. Haven't uploaded a photo in months. Don't miss it. I'd rather be off the grid than part of someone else's curated fantasy. And maybe that's the real aesthetic I was looking for all along. Last night, out of sheer curiosity, or maybe some twisted sense of closure, I clicked on her new profile. Different handle. Different look. Same playbook. She's back on the content train. Full throttle. Pastels. Emotional captions. Wellness tips she barely follows. Still posting like life is a Pinterest board. Still peddling trauma as brand equity. One post stood out. A carousel titled, 10 Things I Learned from Letting Go. Slide 3. Never let someone hold money over your dreams. Slide 5. If they cared, they wouldn't make you choose between love and freedom. Slide 9. A blurry photo of her crying. Caption. Healing in progress. The comments were full of sympathy. So proud of you. You're glowing now. He never deserved your light. I didn't feel angry. Not even annoyed. Just done. Because here's the truth. She's not healing. She's monetizing the idea of healing. She's not letting go. She's rebranding the fallout. It's not about me anymore. It never really was. I was just a resource. A plot device. A stepping stone on her journey to content queen martyrdom. Let her have it. Let her sell t-shirts that say, Survivor of Silence, or whatever her next drop is. Let her cry on cue and crop out the parts that don't get likes. That's her world. Her currency. But me? I'm building something real now. A relationship without receipts. A life without audience metrics. My new girlfriend? She brought over lasagna last week, completely unannounced. No post. No story. Just said, figured you could use dinner. I had extra. She doesn't care about lighting. She cares about showing up. We ate it on the floor watching a documentary about bees. No filters. No followers. No financial entanglements. Just two people being people. And I swear, it was the most romantic thing I've experienced in years. You'd think by now she'd have moved on, right? Nope. Tuesday afternoon, I got an email from her new manager. Yes. She has a manager now. Apparently she's expanding her brand, doing speaking engagements, running empowerment workshops, and wants to revisit the narrative for clarity and fairness. The email, clearly written by someone in PR clothes pretending to be professional, said the following. Our client recently went through a challenging experience involving emotional and financial imbalance. She's planning to share her full story in an upcoming podcast series, and we wanted to give you the opportunity to provide a statement or perspective. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my sandwich. A statement? Like I'm the disgraced senator from her origin story? Then I read the kicker. She also hopes to include a positive message about mutual growth and overcoming conflict, and she believes your input could help round out the arc. I closed the email and sat there for a minute. The arc? She thinks this is a series finale. She wants to wrap it all in a bow and pretend we were two souls who simply drifted apart because of the tides of life. Not because she siphoned my wallet and weaponized Instagram for sympathy points. That's when I realized something. She didn't just delete me for her aesthetic. She deleted me because the version of me that loved her didn't fit the brand she needed now. But the version of me that hurt her? That's monetizable. That's emotionally compelling. That gets engagement. So now, she wants a quote to validate her pivot. Maybe something noble and mature. Something that says, we've grown, we've learned, we're better now. I didn't respond to the email. Instead, I opened a blank note on my phone and typed something down, just for me. Closure doesn't require cooperation. Let her podcast. Let her tell it however she needs to tell it. I've got better things to do than fact-check someone else's fiction. 3 days after the manager email, the podcast dropped. Of course I listened. Wouldn't you? It was called Glow Through It. Gag, and her episode? Surviving Financial Control, My Story. She opened with a breathy monologue about finding her power, reclaiming her voice, and learning that sometimes the people who say they love you are just here to fund their own egos. I stared at the speaker like it owed me money. Then she got into it. She didn't name me. Not directly. But she didn't have to. She told the whole story, just upside down and dipped in self-pity. He added me to his credit card like it was a gift. But it was actually a leash. He supported me until I became independent. Then he punished me for it. I lost everything in the middle of a shopping mall because I dared to have boundaries. Boundaries? You deleted me from your entire digital life because I didn't match your vibe. I gave you brunch money. You gave me trauma posts. And yet, she had people crying. I checked the comments section, mistake. Tears. Applause. Empowerment emojis everywhere. You're so brave. I went through the same thing. These men always think they can own us. Where can I donate to your work? She had a PayPal link in the description. Of course she did. I closed the app. Went for a run. Didn't finish it. Instead, I texted Paul, my lawyer buddy, and asked, "At what point does this become defamation?" He replied, "Public figure? Nope. Named you? Nope. Just ignore it, man. You already won." But it didn't feel like winning. It felt like getting hit by a car in a parking lot, then watching the driver go on Ellen to talk about how the accident taught them self-love. And yet, I didn't respond. Not publicly. Not privately. Not even in the group chat where all my friends were like, "Dude, she really made you the villain in a self-help arc." Because here's what I knew now. Some people don't want peace. They want permission to keep telling the story where they're the star. And silence? That's the only thing that messes with them more than facts ever could. I thought she was done after the podcast. I was wrong. Because apparently, now she's writing a book. Yep. A book. I found out the same way everyone finds out dumb things these days, a tag post. My friend Sarah sent me a screenshot from Instagram. My ex, sitting at a cafe table, laptop open, latte in hand, caption reading. Chapter 1, When They Cut Off Your Card, But Not Your Spirit. Hashtag healing, hashtag author era, hashtag survivor story. She even included a fake typewriter font in the caption. I almost passed out from second-hand embarrassment. There were swipe-throughs too, quotes written in flowery cursive over pastel gradients. My favorite? He thought taking the money would silence me. It just gave me a microphone. Okay, Taylor Swift. Another one said. They called me gold digging. But I was just trying to build my own mine. You can't make this up. She's not just rewriting history, she's pitching it to Penguin Random House. I didn't react. Not out loud. But I couldn't help it. I googled her. Found her new website, AuthorEmpathCreator.com. She'd rebranded again. Gone full. Speaker coach healer. There's a whole page dedicated to her journey. It includes a timeline, and yes, she literally listed our breakup as the moment I broke free from transactional love. With a stock photo of a padlock snapping open like she just escaped Shawshank. But the part that really got me? Coming soon, the book. She had a form you could fill out to pre-order. With 3 tiers. Supporter, $20, signed copy. Believer, $50, signed copy plus exclusive webinar access. Empath Angel, $150, signed copy, webinar plus your name in the acknowledgments as someone who lifted me during my darkest hours. She's selling acknowledgments. I closed the tab and just sat there. Not angry. Just floored. Because I finally understood something. She doesn't care how much she warps the truth. As long as she comes out shiny on the other side, it's worth it to her. She's not telling a story. She's building a brand. And every villain needs a recognizable silhouette. She picked mine. And honestly, she can have it. Because I've got better things to be known for than being someone's lesson. So I'm someone's origin story now. The villain in her empowerment arc. I used to think I'd care, be angry, defend myself, maybe even go public with the truth. But now, I'm watching from a distance, sipping tea like a retired supervillain who moved to the woods and grows his own basil. The book? Still not published. But the pre-orders keep trickling in. She posts weekly updates from her writing retreat, which, based on the geotags, is just a co-working space with free lemon water and a couch that photographs well. She claims the first draft is 80,000 words. I bet 30,000 of those are adjectives describing her tears. Meanwhile, my life's gotten shockingly, beautifully, boring. I'm in a real relationship. With someone who knows my birthday. Who doesn't see my credit limit as an opportunity. Who doesn't flinch when I set a boundary. She actually thanks me for it. The other night we were watching Netflix, and she just paused it mid-episode, to look at me and say, "You're really safe to be around. Do you know that?" I didn't. But I do now. Because when you spend enough time with someone who drains you, you forget what not being drained feels like. You forget that love isn't supposed to be a subscription. It's not something that bills you monthly while you wonder if you're allowed to cancel. Now I budget for two. Not for lashes, launches, or manifestation boards. For groceries. For trips we both pay for. For weekends where we sleep in and don't post a thing. And honestly, I've never felt richer. She doesn't know anything about the influencer. She doesn't care. She just calls her the ex, with air quotes, and when I finally told her the full story, she just blinked and said, "Wow. That's not a girlfriend. That's a startup with emotional support needs." We laughed for 10 minutes. Because it was true. That whole relationship was a pitch deck. And I was the funding. Never again. Now, when I look back, it's not with anger. It's with clarity. Some people don't want a partner. They want a payroll. And I'm not offering direct deposit anymore. 2 weeks ago, her book finally dropped. Self-published. Amazon exclusive. Paperback with a rose gold title and a cover photo of her staring wistfully into the middle distance like she just heard God whisper. Engagement. It's called. Burned Edges, Reclaiming My Light. A friend of mine, bless his chaotic soul, bought it for me as a gag gift and left it on my porch with a sticky note that said, "You're famous now." I flipped through it once. It's not a memoir. It's a manifesto in passive voice. 1,000 metaphors about blooming, breaking boundaries, and walking away from the shadows of transactional love. She never uses my name. But she doesn't have to. I'm the engineer. The provider. The man who loved with a leash. Chapter 7 is called The Declined Swipe. Cute. She frames the mall incident as her rock bottom, saying, "The moment my card failed was the moment I realized I didn't need a card to prove I mattered." Page 146 references me as a man obsessed with numbers, with balance sheets and metrics, not feelings. She says I never asked how she was doing, just what she was spending. Sure. I guess the $3,000 ring light she tried to buy with my card was her way of crying for help. The acknowledgements page? Yup. I'm there. Sort of. She thanks every woman who's ever been gaslit out of her own potential. And the men who taught me what not to tolerate. Again, cute. But here's what made me laugh. The first 5-star review on Amazon came from her best friend. The same one who screamed at me on my own porch about engagement rates. And the first 1-star review came from someone named NurseBay24, who simply wrote, "Girl, you were not financially abused. You were financially cut off. There's a difference." I sent that to Paul. He sent back a string of crying emojis and justice is real. The truth is, I don't care if people buy her book. Let her have her sales. Her stories. Her quotes about wolves and rising and finding herself in the ashes of a man's caution. Because me? I didn't rise. I rebuilt. And every dollar I used to spend on her brunches and skincare and content emergencies, now it goes toward things that actually hold value. My mortgage. My retirement fund. The dog I just adopted from the shelter, name's Pixel, total menace, perfect face. The real plot twist? She messaged me the week after launch. New number. Said, "Hope you're well. If you've read the book, I hope you know it wasn't meant to hurt you. Just needed to share my truth. I stared at the message for a full minute. Then replied, You didn't share your truth. You sold your version. And no, I didn't read it. But thanks for the royalty check. Blocked. Again. Last weekend, I took Pixel to the park. He's part gremlin, part sock thief, part emotional support raccoon, but he's mine. We were sitting on a bench, sun out, iced coffee in hand, dog chewing on a stick like it owed him rent, when this girl walked past and did a double take. She looked familiar. Took me a second to realize, she used to follow my ex. One of the loyal ones. Always liking her posts, always dropping fire emojis under captions like, proclaiming my story, or, healing isn't linear but my lighting is. She looked at me, then at Pixel, then back at me. You're Mark, right? I nodded. Yeah. I read her book, she said, squinting. You're the guy, huh? I waited for the usual judgment, pity, whatever version of influencer gospel she'd been converted by. But instead, she sat down next to me and said, That whole thing messed me up. I thought I was broken for not being able to live like her. I blinked. Like her? You know. Always perfect. Always curated. Making pain look poetic and profitable. She shrugged. But the more I watched, the more fake it felt. I stopped following after the book. Something about it felt off. Pixel climbed into her lap without asking. She laughed. He sneezed in her face. You ever gonna tell your side? She asked. No, I said. Because she'd love that. Smart, she said. Besides, you don't have to. You look settled. Settled. That word stuck with me. Not successful. Not vindicated. Not glowing up out of the ashes. Just settled. Peace doesn't always look glamorous. Sometimes it's dog fur on your hoodie and a checking account that isn't leaking joy to someone else's online persona. Sometimes it's boring in the best possible way. I'm not the villain in a podcast. I'm not a footnote in a breakup memoir. I'm a man who learned that love without respect is performance art, and I retired from the show. Last night I got dinner with my parents. First time in a while. Just the three of us. No drama. No commentary. No. When are you going to settle down again? Thank God. We went to this little Italian place my mom loves. Brick walls. Paper tablecloths. The kind of place where the owner remembers your name and the bread shows up warm. Halfway through the meal, my dad said, You seem lighter lately. I looked at him. I got a dog. He chews everything I own. It's very zen. He chuckled. No, really. You seem like you've reclaimed your own time. That hit harder than I expected. Because he was right. For the first time in years, no one's draining me. No one's rebranding my support as control. No one's packaging my generosity as oppression and selling it on Shopify. My mom raised an eyebrow. How's your ex? It wasn't judgmental. Just curious. She published a book, I said, stabbing a meatball. I think it's mostly fiction. My dad winced. You okay with that? I shrugged. Let her have the version she needs. I've got the receipts. And better things to do. They nodded. That was it. No lecture. No. Be the bigger person. Just acceptance. Progress. After dinner, I walked them to their car. Mom hugged me too long. Dad patted my shoulder like he always does when he's proud but doesn't want to say it out loud. Then I walked home. No Uber. No headphones. Just the night and the sidewalk and the sound of my own feet. And I realized, this is what healing actually looks like. Not hashtags. Not TED Talk captions. Not candles and crying selfies. It's the absence of noise. It's knowing your peace isn't fragile anymore. That your silence isn't punishment, it's protection. That your boundaries don't make you cold, they make you whole. At home, Pixel greeted me like I'd been gone for years. We watched a bad action movie and shared popcorn. He tried to eat the remote. I let him win. I checked my phone once. Just once. No new messages. Not from her. Not from her mom. Not from the manager. Not from the ghost of aesthetic girlfriends past. And I smiled. Because it was quiet. And the quiet felt earned. This morning, I woke up to sunlight and silence. No chaos. No notifications begging for forgiveness or money. Just the dog snoring at my feet and the coffee brewing in the kitchen. I opened my closet and saw the sweatshirt she once borrowed and never returned until she mailed it back with the rest of the relationship in a box. I put it on. It smelled like clean laundry and memory. But not pain. She's still out there, probably planning a sequel. Probably workshopping another narrative where she's the phoenix and I'm the smoke. Let her. I don't need to correct her story. I lived the real one. And the real story is simple. I loved someone who loved my resources. I set boundaries. She called it cruelty. I called it survival. Now, I've got a stable life, a dog with too much energy, a partner who doesn't turn love into leverage, and a peace I earn one decline charge at a time. That card she used to swipe? Closed. That chapter? Sealed. That version of me, the one who tolerated chaos because it looked like affection? Gone. Final balance. $0 owed. Emotionally and financially.